And the last question before we move on, how do you show honor to people who you have had to distance yourself from because of their harmful choices, family members who were bad influences upon marriage or children? That's so important. How do you honor a husband who's in jail because of abusing the kids? Got several situations like that I know about. Or how do you honor a person who cheated on you, and that was 10 years ago, and they've desperately tried to win back your trust? I think about a very important distinction here that I'm sure you know, but I'll say it anyway because I didn't know it until 1993. And think about it. There is a difference between forgiveness and trust. Somebody offends you, cheats on you, wife cheats on you, or a member in your church abuses children in the nursery. They're disciplined, they're brought before the law, they do a year in jail or whatever the situation calls for. And now they're out and they want to work in the nursery. Well, it's a no-brainer, right? Wait a minute, I thought you forgive in this church. We do. But trust is another thing. And that's painful. That's incredibly painful. And that applies in so many areas because you don't want to hold something against a person forever. And yet there are certain situations and kinds of sins that seem so constitutionally rooted in a perpetrator that even though you're forgiving them, willing to relate to them, you're not going to entrust babysitting to them or whatever the proclivity is that they have sought to overcome. Very tough calls, really tough. So you honor them not by saying that forgiveness and trust are the same and you can have your job back a year later helping the kids, but rather the way you talk it through with them, the way you love them, the way you try to help them understand, the way you deal with their own brokenness. And if they're mature and they're walking with Christ, they'll understand that. Boy, when I try to put marriages back together that have been broken through unfaithfulness or something horrific, I just say to the perpetrator, the offender, I say, I hope you're committed to this, but this will take years to restore any trust. You can't just say, I'm sorry for playing around with 3 or 4 women and walk in and say to her, I forgive you, fine, no problem. It's just that trust has to be won by character proof and over time. And so I'd say the evidence of your repentance is the patience of 10 years. Are you willing to win her back with 10 years of her being unsure about you? And then she's sure about you again. And if you're not, you don't get the grievousness of your own sin. This is your issue, buddy. This is your issue. You've got to win her back and not expect her to think that an I'm sorry is the same as I'm a new person and trustworthy.